not COs. It is a loan.
And you guys had the money in previous council, you guys had the money set back for a year's worth of payment,
A year and a half worth of payment.
And that was how much money?
That's about $200,000.
That's in Edward Jones. That's part of that Edward Jones money.
So if we take $100,000 out of there, and put it in the INS account, which we're supposed to be required to have, is that not?
The water board was.
What are you doing with the money right now that's coming in for the sewer? Where's it going?
It's going into the general fund, but it's fixing to go into the utilities fund, which the accountant told us we had to separate. The 1st of October, when the new fiscal year starts, all of the utility revenues will go in the utility fund.
So in other words, you're not putting anything back right now for that sewer bill?
Yes,
Where?
it's not in that budget per se, but this past month.
Per se, you've got to budget it. If you're going to do that, you've got to budget that. That's $12 a meter. These people here are paying $12 a meter to pay for that sewer.
If you'll listen to me, we set $86,000 into the INS account about a month and a half ago.
Yes, sir.
And it's sitting there. We included an allocation at that time for the month of August. In September, we're going to make an allocation of $11,666 into that INS account to reserve for those payments, and then in the
What I'm saying is we didn't have to touch that year and a half ahead. We did not have to touch that because we had enough coming in to make that sewer payment. You have not pulled back that money for that sewer payment, so you're having to pull out of Edward Jones to make it. So where is that money that comes in every month for that sewer payment? Where is that money? Because that's
It's set up to go into that INS account.
Well, it hasn't been then.
When I got here.
How much do you have in the INS account right now?
There's $100 in it. No, there's 86,000 and some odd dollars, and we're fixing to put in another 11,000 and some odd dollars.
So you shouldn't have to pull out of the Edward Jones.
Well, it depends on, we've got a well down right now. We've had a lot of extra expenses, and we've had a lot of legal fees too.
Stan, let me just make something. Last year's budget and this budget, just go for this year's budget, and you see how much you had in income, okay? Both in the utility account and in your general account. That adds up to X amount of dollars. And then you go through your expense in your general account and also in the utility account. You add that up and you subtract it. You don't need any extra funds. You have enough income in your general stuff without extra money for your expenses.
You're wrong. And I'll tell you why.
Okay, you show me how I'm wrong.
Because we had to buy a pump up there, because that sewer system.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the budget I'm looking at.
Well, I'm telling you.
No, that doesn't work. I'm looking at the budget that you're presenting tonight to be approved.
I have no idea. I don't know where Lester got all these numbers from. I'm pretty sure he got it all from last year.
No.
He just didn't reach up out of the air.
Well, if he got it from last year, you're in sad shape.
We are in sad shape.
You are.
Yes, we are.
But if you look at what you're budgeting, Radford, and you add up your income in both the general, in your budget, and the utility of what you have in expenses, you have enough money in that budget right there without adding anything to it to cover the expenses that you're budgeting for.
That's what we hire a city manager for. Because I'm not smart enough to do that, and that's his job.
No, that's not true. It's part of the city council's job too.
But we're not CPAs. We're not as smart as you are. And that's true. And we don't claim to be as smart as you are.
I'm not trying to be smart at all.
Yes, you are. You're digging up all this stuff. You've done it once before. And we hired him, and we've hired 3 more besides that. And we're trying to fix what Stan and Jana and some of them people have messed up, and we're trying to fix it.
That's not true.
That is true.
No, sir.
Yes, it is true.
your budget that you're presenting, not, I didn't present this budget, you did.
No, we didn't. He did. He presented it to us.
The
and we
city
looked at
code,
it.
the city
He said,
code
okay,
dictates,
because we don't know.
the city code that we have in Bovina dictates that the city council should have input on the budget.
I prepared 3 budget scenarios, both
That's
for
right.
general fund and for the utilities fund. I had a budget prepared before that. Utility company told us we had to divide it up.
Yeah.
And I went through and I gave you guys 3 scenarios and you took,
We picked the one we thought was the best.
and you even modified it some of
Yes,
that.
and we changed it.
Okay, so you started from a zero budget process?
When
To me, that's how it's been, zero budget process. You were on last year's.
No, excuse me,
city
I have a question.
council. I'm sorry.
So the code dictates that the city council on their budget should start with a zero budget process.
Do you know what zero budget process
I
is?
have no idea.
Buster, do you know what that is?
I've got a pretty good accounting background and
What
different
is-
settings it means.
The city-
different
What
things.
is zero budget process?
The zero budget process is where you basically start at zero and work your budget up.
Exactly. You don't make comparisons about this and that.
But you have to look at historical data.
That is
That's
true.
a part of it.
That's part of it, but you actually have to work with actual funds that are available to pay for the priorities that are in your expenses. In other words, you have to prioritize your ranking of your expenses, and that ties back to your zero budget. And the
Look at me,
code,
man, I'm not a bookkeeper. All I do is look at
the
it.
code dictates that is part of the process. The city council is part of that process.
If I was a CPA, I'd have a say.
It doesn't take a seat, I'm a CPA.
Can I ask you guys a question? You were part of last year's council. You had a copy of last year's budget, right?
No, I had nothing to do with last year's budget. The budget that you're in right now, I had nothing to do with that.
I'm not talking about this budget. I'm talking about the one that was before this, whatever.
The one that you're spending money out of right now, no, I had nothing to do with that.
It was all done at the beginning of Frank's tenure as mayor. And Mike's, I think he was part of that. And Racker was part of the new members at that time. I was at that first.
Our temporary manager, we have everybody set that budget.
Now, what big debt was so bad you're trying to strip it out?
Well, I don't know, and you ain't gonna ask me no questions, because I ain't gonna answer it, Stan.
When you just said you were trying to correct a big gap from the prior year, what was it?
I don't know. I don't have no idea. I'm not smart enough to do
Who
that.
told you there was a big gap?
You want all CPAs on there, why didn't you come down here last May and put your name on there?
I didn't get the meetings, I didn't get anything out of the workshop that I did.
We're trying our best to fix all of this.
What's our difference that we're looking at on these budgets from what we've done before? See, I don't have access to what we had before. I've only been here a short time. I have access to what I'm getting month to month, and I've got this. What's the difference on
Here
our
is a
budget?
balanced budget right here.
Are we spending more money or less money than we did last year?
More. Well, no, you're not spending more, you're infusing more by pulling it from other places.
Right,
It doesn't.
because I know from this, and from when I've looked at EMS has gone back $4,000. And how much did fire going back?
No.
No, is it about the same?
This fire, we haven't got no capital improvements, just that $3,000 or $4,000.
To me, it looks like cuts, but.
You know, legal fees, it has been a big expense. And it's going to be a big expense next year. There's no denying that. That's a part of what we're trying to cover, part of it. That's not all of it.
What have we spent on legal fees already?
Oh, I have to go look at it.
Let's give Mr. Rhodes a chance, he's been trying to.
Say, on the legal deal, I have a question. Does the city not have the liability insurance to cover the city?
That's what.
The city does have liability insurance. And we're in a lawsuit right now, and the insurance company is paying for the litigation of, and the city's defense in that matter. We've also had another lawsuit come along that is a little bit different nature. It's not a liability suit. It's a land title dispute, and that's not covered by PML.
That one probably has no merit.
Who is that with?
Well, it may not have merit, but when it's filed in the court, and the court says you have to file an answer within a certain period of time, you've got to file an answer or you default it to them.
Are you talking
But
about
that
legal?
doesn't cost thousands of dollars for an attorney to write an answer
It does
denying.
cost thousands of dollars. That matter's been going on since before I got here. We've also had some other issues that's pending, and I'm not going to get into detail, but it relates to the wastewater treatment plant. And that is a big issue there, and that's not covered by TML because it's not a suit against us. It's corrections that we have to do to the wastewater treatment plant.
The city
And
is
that's a
administrating
big ticket item. We don't know what that's going to cost. It's already cost us, well, the pump was $30,000, but it's cost us quite a bit more than that. And to fix the problems out there, we don't know if that's going to be another $150,000 or $250,000. But it's a big ticket item. And it's going to be expensive, and that is a big problem to the city. A big problem.
Okay, the city is initiating that suit. The city has filed that suit.
It's not a suit that's filed. We're still in the process of sorting things out and getting things lined up and find out exactly what we need to do with that wastewater treatment. TCEQ is wanting, is going to require me to go to Austin and a professional consultant to talk about what we're going to need to do out that wastewater treatment. But I can't tell you how much time all these legal matters has consumed of my time since I've been here. Probably 70%.
Hold on. Let's give Mr. Rhodes a chance.
Thank you.
We spent 30 minutes, this public hearing on the budget. Everybody's had a say up there, and nobody knows anything. I suggest the questions that's asked, and we go down this thing line item by line item, and let your city manager do your speaking.
I agree with that. I don't know nothing about it. That's what we hired you for.
Well,
You left to answer all the questions. Anybody, raise your hand if you want to talk. Go ahead and stand, you've already got 28 minutes already.
If that's enough, then
I was asked by some of the citizens to be their advocate to address this budget. And I've gone through it line by line. The first one that I made a note on was your actual on property tax was $175,347 this year. You went with the effective tax rate, which effectively brings you the same amount of money that it did last year. But yet you budgeted $185,600.
I took the appraised values and the effective tax rate and multiplied them out, and that's what it came up with.
You can look at the figures that Jill put on there, and it's going to be close to what this year's is.
And it's not a long ways off. The rate went down, the appraised values went up a little bit, and the effective rate went down a little bit.
Right. And effective means, effectively what you're going to bring in is what you brought in last year. That's effective. Correct?
that's correct.
So you can't get 10,500 off of there. Correct?
I think that figure's good. I looked at what we've collected, and I looked at the appraised values, and I looked at the effective rate, and I adjusted that value from the budget that that we're working with down the road.
The next line that I made a comment on was the recovery line. You budgeted $5,000, you've actually brought in $9,444. What's recovery?
If there's a piece of property, for example, that goes up for sale, or unpaid taxes, or that sort of thing, that would go into recovery.
Return check fee. You didn't budget any income for return check fee, but you expensed $2,000. Okay, if you write me a hot check, you're going to get charged that back to you. So you're showing an expense of $2,000, but you're not showing any income.
I've tried to approach the income from a conservative channel. What do we do with
Conservative is zero?
When somebody comes in and pays a return check, where do we put that, the return check? It goes on the books. It'll go into the utilities fund.
It does, the fee that we charge does, not the actual checks. We already took that into consideration, so we don't run that again. Just the fees.
Okay.
So you have an income, you just don't know where it's going to.
It's going in the utilities fund, and we're still setting some of that up, Stan.
Well, shouldn't you expense that to utilities then?
The way that the utility software is, there's a place in there for.
Okay, but in your budget, you've expensed it to admin, where you probably should have expensed it to utilities.
Maybe I should have.
Roll-off box, you show no income on it. Nobody pays to dump anything down there?
No, because they don't charge it.
Yeah, we paid.
Except for the contractors,
Huh?
except for the contractor, but it's at a loss.
Where are you looking at, Stan?
On your income, but they still pay. They still pay, so you should have some income. There's no income for this year, and you have a
Well,
budget.
I think what Caesar's saying is that what we pay is not probably what they charge. Like we pay maybe $160, and then they cost us $400.
Right.
So there's no income.
Yeah, well, but there is an income. If you're paying that, that is an income.
That particular item probably should come off of here because it's now in the utilities budget. We're still making some of these adjustments as we go along, dividing these budgets. And it's going to be an ongoing process for a time. But the roll-off is the utility, and it would go in the utility. It should come off of the general.
Okay, sales tax. You got a sales tax line. This year you brought in 42,593. You're budgeting for 96,000. Okay, is that the quarter cent? That's the quarter cent, correct?
That's what we get from the state from sales tax.
Okay, that doesn't go to admin. Half of that goes to streets, half of that goes to economic development. That is not an income for admin. That's the only way you get that tax. That is the only way you get that tax.
I talked to the accountant about that. And we're gonna, the street income is gonna go in there.
But it's not in your budget though. You don't show that being paid out anywhere. You show that you're using that for your normal everyday expenses, and you have to show that as an expense. You have to show that you gave half of that to the economic development and half of that to streets.
And there's an expense item in here for economic development.
$30,000.
Yeah.
No, that's excuse me.
Yeah, it's $30,000. Economic development, that's $30,000.
That's an expense for economic development, not for admin. The money went into admin, he's got to pay it out of admin.
That's not what the accountant told me. Because I sat down with Chris Leonard and went over this, and
If you take that money into